Gambling doesn't hook people because they're stupid. It hooks people because it's engineered to hijack the same neurological systems that drugs do. And if you've ever wondered why some forms of gambling feel impossible to walk away from, why one more bet always feels necessary, I'm going to break down exactly what's happening in your brain and why some forms of gambling are far more dangerous than others. Let's start with the most important misconception. Gambling addiction is not about money. If it were about money, people would stop when they lose. Gambling is a dopamine addiction, not a profit-seeking activity. And dopamine isn't just the chemical of pleasure. Dopamine is the chemical of anticipation. The spike of dopamine doesn't come from when you win. It comes right before you find out whether you won. The brain lights up the most during times of uncertainty. Gambling creates repeated uncertainty. Each bet means maybe this time. And this is why losing doesn't stop gamblers. Loss actually increases dopamine if it creates the feeling of, I was so close. And now, not all gambling is equal. Okay, some forms are specifically optimized to keep you playing as long as possible. The most addictive form of gambling overall are slot machines and electronic gambling machines. Why? Because you get to bet every few seconds. Near misses are everywhere. No skill is required, and it's constant stimulation. And you can really just zone out. Slot machines don't feel like gambling. It almost feels like as if you're just scrolling on TikTok, right? It's a way to escape. Many recovered gamblers say exactly that. They say that it wasn't about winning, it was about escaping. Now, the second most addictive form of gambling is any form of online gambling, especially online slot machines and or these live online casinos. So online gambling removes the final friction, right? There's no cash in your hand, there's no closing time, there's no social pressure, no one's there looking at you, and there's no physical environment to leave. You're not just fighting your own psychology anymore, now you're fighting software. You're fighting algorithms that are designed to keep you hooked and with instant and infinite access wherever you may be in the world. And it doesn't cost you anything extra, right? You already pay your phone bill. So, whereas if you needed to go to the casino, it costs time to get there and then money, right? If you got to pay for gas or whatever other transportation that you need to get there. Now, the third most addictive form of gambling is any form of sports betting, especially live or in-play betting. Because sports betting sells you this illusion, right? It's like, oh, I understand the game. I'm informed. This is a skill. And live betting is where addiction risk skyrockets, right? Because you've got all this emotional momentum involved. You've got the ability to make rapid bets in real time. And then you can instantly re-enter after a loss. In the world of sports betting, your brain will confuse the fact that it has information with the idea that you have control over the outcomes. And then the fourth most addictive form of gambling is casino table games, right? These are a much slower pace. You also have a social environment, right? Someone who can tap on your shoulder and say, hey, dude, like, walk away. Now, it's still dangerous, but it's not optimized for maximum addiction, right? Gambling addictions are uniquely cruel. Why? Because there's no external chemical withdrawal, right? There's no visible intoxication. Losses also create urgency, and the shame of being stuck in a loop is something that actually keeps people silent. And your brain also, it remembers the best win, but it always forgets the worst loss. And every single time you relapse and you come back to the game, it feels like proof that something's wrong with you, when really you're just responding exactly as these systems have designed for you to respond. Now, for the people who actually find themselves on the other side of a gambling addiction, there's a few things that they do. One of them is removing the speed, okay? Addiction thrives on the speed of being able to re-up or get back in the game. And recovery starts with slowing the loop. The second thing is to create forms of friction, right? Excluding yourself from the game, right? Blocking apps or blocking websites or removing ways to fund an account. When it comes to overcoming a gambling addiction, willpower very rarely wins, and what really does help is having systems. Another thing that people do to get over gambling addiction is to replace the dopamine sources. The brain doesn't really quit addictions very easily. It much more easily swaps them. So some things that people will do is go outside and go on walks, going to the gym and getting active in that way, or picking up any other form of a new hobby. The final thing that a lot of people have done to get over their gambling addictions is to really name the pattern, right? Like identify what it is that you're doing that's keeping you hooked. If it's as soon as you open your phone, you've got a gambling app on your home screen, then maybe clear your home screen. If it's every time you go to a bar and you see a game on, it makes you open up DraftKings, well, go to a different bar. Once you can see the way that your brain is being manipulated to participate in these gambling addictions, then it will lose its power over you. But just to be clear, having a gambling addiction or even just gambling in general doesn't mean that you're weak. It means that you're a human. And the moment you understand the game behind the game that these online platforms and whatnot are playing, you stop being the product. If this resonated at all, or if you found it helpful, share this with someone who you think might need it. And if you're struggling, either quietly or openly, you're definitely not alone. And I personally think this is a really, really big issue and something that's actually worth trying to fix. So we're actually building an app to help you monitor and control your gambling. We're taking this seriously, so we're actually giving the first 500 people who join our waiting list a free year of access to our app called No Dice. And you can find a link to the waiting list for this app at the first link in the description down below. So go and sign up for the waiting list for No Dice, and I'll see you soon. Peace.